Good morning, Miss Hoffman's class. Alrighty. So this is the Louisiana Purchase. It's our Wednesday lesson. James Monroe sat at a desk in his hotel room in France. Monroe had been sent to France by the President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. Remember, France owned the city of New Orleans, which is down here, which was near the place where the mighty Mississippi River flowed into the sea. Whoever controlled New Orleans decided which ships passed by up and down the river. The land on the east side of the river, here in orange, was owned by the United States, and the land on the west side of the river, here in green, was owned by France. President Jefferson told James Madison, "I want you to go to France," and offered to purchase the city of New Orleans from Napoleon. Napoleon needs money to buy supplies for his soldiers and sailors who are fighting in a series of wars. If he will sell New Orleans to us, he will receive the money he needs, and we will gain control of the Mississippi River. James Monroe met with Napoleon in the French Emperor's palace in Paris, France. This palace was very different from the house in which President Thomas Jefferson lived in Washington, D.C. Now, as James Monroe looked back on his meeting with both President Jefferson and the French Emperor, Napoleon, Monroe thought, President Jefferson's home certainly is different from Napoleon's home. Napoleon lives in a grand palace with fine wooden floors half covered in thick carpets. The walls are bright with expensive wallpapers, and the furniture probably costs a lot of money. When Napoleon is dressed in the fanciest clothes and sits on that throne, he talks and everyone listens because they are afraid of him and his power, and because they hope he will do them favors. So everybody remember that an emperor, like Napoleon was, is similar to a king. And I should keep that in mind as we continue reading. But there are no thrones for Thomas Jefferson and no royal uniforms to make him look special. Sometimes visitors to the presidential mansion don't even recognize President Jefferson. They think he's one of the servants until they are introduced to him. When he starts to speak, however, everyone listens, but not because they are afraid of him. They listen because he is a brilliant man with wonderful ideas. So from this description, do you think Monroe thinks that President Jefferson is really smart? He doesn't need thrones or royal robes in order for people to realize that he is a great man. So from both of these descriptions of the Emperor's Palace in France and then Thomas Jefferson and the presidential mansion in the U.S., what are some of the differences that you've noticed between emperors and presidents? Well, James Monroe thought, I suppose I should be fair. Napoleon may not be my sort of person, but he is very clever. Once you were talking seriously with him, and he is about to do a great favor for the United States. Monroe remembered his last meeting with Napoleon, during which Napoleon had told Monroe, I have thought over your president's offer to buy the city of New Orleans. I decided that selling New Orleans to the United States of America will not bring me as much money as I need. So what else could they sell to him? Instead, I will sell you New Orleans and all the land owned by France between the Mississippi River and the Rocky Mountains, which is called the Louisiana Territory. We will sell this land to you at a fair price. So, he's suggesting that he's going to sell all of his land between the Appalachian Mountains and the Rocky Mountains, which is right here, which is called the Louisiana Territory. So he wants to sell everything in green plus the city of New Orleans. Hearing this, Monroe realized with a shock that this is as much land as there is already in the entire United States of America. Overnight, we could have a nation twice as big as it is right now. So that means that this area here that they're going to buy is just the same size as this area here in orange. So that means that the size of the U.S. would double. Somehow, Monroe had kept himself calm enough to answer Napoleon. Your Majesty, this is indeed a marvelous opportunity. I cannot accept your offer, however, until I present it to the President, Thomas Jefferson, and receive his answer. I will write to him at once. In Monroe's time, there are no phones or emails, so Monroe had to write a letter to Thomas Jefferson. The letter would have to travel over the ocean in the same kind of ship that Monroe had traveled on when he came to France. It would take a few weeks for Jefferson to get Monroe's letter, and even longer for Monroe to get Jefferson's answer. Now sitting in his hotel room and remembering all this, James Monroe picked up his pen. I need to finish my letter to President Jefferson, he thought, and then I can send it to him by the first ship sailing across the ocean to the United States. When he reads it, the president is going to be very surprised. Just as Monroe had expected, Thomas Jefferson was amazed. Here we go, hold this. Just as Monroe had expected, Thomas Jefferson was amazed when he read that letter. Jefferson thought, this is even better than I could have imagined. Not only will we be buying the city of New Orleans, but also the entire Louisiana territory. The United States will double in size. I will write back to James Monroe at once, telling him to purchase the Louisiana territory for the United States. He smiled. The timing could not be better. Then President Jefferson picked up his pen and began the letter, instructing Monroe to seal the bargain with France and a bargain that would double the size of the United States. Alrighty, everybody, so some questions to think about as you go to your craft. So who did James Monroe meet in France in order to discuss the purchase of Louisiana? What else did Napoleon want to sell to the United States? And what was the Louisiana Purchase? Alrighty, everybody, check out our craft for today. Here we go. Check out our craft for today.